Twisting and turning, yearning and venturing, her spirit is still intact because she never lost control. Raised with love and raised with enough protection that it isn't. Allowed her to never succumb to the fate of evil men. Spending time around the loveliest women helped her keep it beautiful. But it was the intelligence they had that allowed her to never succumb to the fate of evil women. With the ability to compel the truth out of people, Shavaetha will ask anybody, will you protect me? She's only looking for good answers. The kind that she can trust answers. Because the superhero guild needs to be filled to the brim with heroes that are actually heroes. Ones that will bring the punishment to any criminal, any horrible, or any villain. You can count on her to keep the light of Edgimaer brilliant. And you can count on her celebrating because she kept the peace. If you keep the peace with her, bottoms up will be your new favorite words too. Yeah, it's Terrence Prescott Barnes. Characterization sheet of Shavaetha. Birth name, Edgimaer, Shilzine. Superpower heaven. Fighting techniques Hapkido and Muay Thai. Weapon of choice, healing angel. Neutral good nature. Age 32. Height 6'4", weight 181. She is a German goddess. Birthplace, Glasdale City, Amarawat Nation of Edgimaer. And then she moved to Falcon City, Falcon State, USA, planet Zeph of Solar System 10, just like Galtos. Her occupation is a pediatrician, and she's the under-queen goddess of the Amarawat Nation, as well as a galactic class superhero. Birthday is August the 26th. Astrological sign Virgo. Blood type O negative. Sexual orientation heterosexual. Overall religion good orderly direction. Secrets. Tries to do one tumbling pass a day if I can talk right, on the daily. Dead ass haven't missed doing at least one tumbling pass daily since her 21st birthday. I need to get obsessed with the term dead ass, but she rarely gets stressed out, but some things are out of her control. When she is stressed out, you will know if you catch her with a glass of hard liquor and a few pink frosted donuts. Her physical description is hair color blonde, hair length ribs, hairstyle wavy, eyes vapor with bright vapor rims, body type busty model type, skin tone regular peach, bust CC. Physical condition fit like a gymnast and a swimmer, equally built in strength and speed. Marks, scars, and tattoos. She has a few scars here and there. The most significant is the scar on her back when she got banished from Edgimaer during a planet-scale war for the thrones. The scar is from a left shoulder blade to her left butt cheek, and she has no tattoos. Clothing. The scar is going to be explained later as well, but clothing keeps a lovely pastel-colored business casual ensemble kind of closet. She doesn't have a favorite color to wear, but her lab coats at work are all carnation colored. Her heel game and her bag game are mean, with a diamond-only jewelry game to match. Her favorite article of clothing is her wedding ring. It has a cube of diamond resembling the cube of diamond Galtos gave her when she was 27. The cube for the ring is much, much smaller, and the ring has gold metal. With it being enchanted with invulnerability, she never takes it off, even during long bouts of superheroism. While at home, she is usually informing clothing. And when it comes to a costume, technological under the very old knight armor appearance, all white and all silver with a red cape that has a silver etched out hand reaching downward. Her cape comes down to her stomach and is draped out to look like a 90-degree angle. The only thing that's red on the costume, the only other thing that's red on the costume are the bottom of her boots. She never fights with a helm because she dons a high ponytail while in her superhero costume, and she can pull her spear out of another dimension. Personality, likes, Galtos, of course. That's her husband. Fellow heroes, adventures, tripping, road tripping, space tripping, sky gazing, flying, sharing the wealth, comedy, acting up, peace, hard liquor, joy, taking care of children, fighting the good fight, dislikes, war, unnecessary violence, villains, evil guides, in danger, fears, no fears, hobbies, gardening, reading, relaxing while sky gazing, weaponry, sparring sessions, power training, swimming, surfing, flying, racing in general. Goals: to take care of as many children as possible, whether it's pediatrics, being generally kind to them, or through superheroism. Occupation: pediatrician and under Queen of Amarwat, as well as a intergalactic superhero. Favorite food: hard liquor, pink frosted donuts, finger foods, and cakes. Least favorite food: none really. Most prized possession. Okay. I think I had way too much for making up Shavaetha. So, Galtos, as you know, is based off of somebody I know in real life, and in real life he has a wife. But Shavaetha is nothing like his real wife in real life. Alright, and Shavaetha is pretty much a trip, and the 5 female characters in the first chapter, they wildin' when they meet up. But moving right along, most prized possession: when Shavaetha was younger, she was in an epilogue that dealt with a dangerous plan of houses taking over all of the thrones of Edgimaer. It was a trying time that dealt with a lot of forcing gods and goddesses out of Edgimaer with no way of getting back in until somebody fixed it on the Edgimaer side. The epilogue dealt with tapping into the Four Moons' powers and altering their reality. Doing this was going to ensure that the 10 houses that are against the current houses will reign supreme. Heroes, gods, and goddesses were all banished from Edgimaer for a long period of time, and with no way of getting back in. They didn't know what was happening. For weeks after Shavaetha took her chance to help out the betterment of Edgimaer, she finally got the sensation she could go back home. There was Gatos, fortunately still alive, and she rejoined a massive, multiple months long epilogue that almost didn't end on the right side of justice. When she saw Gatos again, he finally smiled. Weeks after Shavaetha was forced out of the war, when he finally heard her voice again, he simply flew to her, gave her a very long hug, then proposed to her. He didn't have a ring right then, but he gave her a perfect cube of diamond. 5 inches by 5 inches by 5 inches of pure diamond he got when he was pushed to go fight in Kenesha for a while. And Kenesha is another nation of Edgimaer. Zova Sly is the head sovereign of Kenesha. She is sitting on the throne, and they moved the throne to a pirate ship. So Zova Sly is essentially a pirate queen, and the throne of Kenesha is always on her ship and is always moving. If you've seen the map of Edgimaer, there's a big ass ocean, and her ship is usually in that big ass ocean, and it can go underwater as well, so it acts like a ship in a submarine. But moving right on, Zova Sly told him that she was sorry Shavaetha got pushed out of the war, and to give her the gift when she gets back, because Gatos was one of the few guys that fought for all nations, not just his. Shavaetha keeps the diamond in her personal dimension like a spear and looks at it once a day. Gatos gave it to her when they were 27 years old. So, and then this ties over to her engagement ring and wedding ring, and she has not like a regular cut diamond, it's a cube diamond, just like the one that she has that's 5 inches by 5 inches by 5 inches. Moving right along, vernacular, talks like a businesswoman who is always satisfied and ready to party over a Midwestern kind of accent. Aptitude, IQ equals 165, equally book smart and street smart. Shavaetha's mind works best with nurturing. She has a pink thumb for calming children down and oddly good enough with their physical as well as mental states. She could dabble in a little child psychiatry at any given point. There's never a moment when Shavaetha isn't trying to make sure a child is okay as well as a fellow hero. To ensure she keeps her nurturing mindset, She is inspired to be powerful to protect her own mental state. Psychological condition, completely sane. Character behavior, smooth, powerful, welcoming, ridiculous, prim, and protective. Alright, now you get that. Relationships, Galtos. With Galtos being adopted by her parents for royalty insurance reasons, these two have always known each other since they could ever remember. Inseparable since they could ever remember. They have always loved each other because the parents didn't ever allow them to ridicule each other and to the point of fighting. Besides, they told the two of them they were not related, but kept Galtos' actual identity a secret. When Galtos found out he was a prince, when he saw Shavaetha again, he immediately asked her if she would be his princess. That was when they were 7 years of age. Since then, they have protected each other on and off the battlefield, per the meaning of her existence as a family that vowed to protect all 7 of the houses connected to the House of Pruitt. Social and other pressure problems. Shavaetha understands the fruits of killing villains, but understands the dangers of just containing them. Even though her threat level is maximum, she will do what she has to do to make sure a villain won't harm innocents. The violence of it all is brutal, but she will not be taking any lives unless it's the best thing, the last thing on the table. Beliefs and morals. She believes she has to figure out a way to save everyone that has ever fought along her side for the right side of the justice system. One day, when all of her loved humans face the brink of death, she believes that she is going to have to find a way to immortalize them, even if it's against their will. So, with this being said, Shavaetha falls in love with heroes very easily because she really loves the good side of the justice system and all of the wars that happened in Edgimaer. They ended when she turned 27. All of that mumbo jumbo of the unnecessary violence and things like that got under her skin, but then they had so many heroes on their side that it didn't stay with her. Their negativity didn't stay with her. So when all of the people that fought the good fight and helped out Edgimaer, they are on her heart list, and she has no choice but to love them that much, and she doesn't want any of them to pass away. Like, she knows that she's immortal, and that has its fruits and everything, and she knows that eventually one day she's going to get tired of living, and she's going to let this soul rest in peace. And but at the same time, humans only get 100 years worth of living, and it pains her to an extent because she has a relationship with all 14 characters in the first chapter, right? And with her being a female, she will gravitate to the females more. And Worley, Dalizzle, Allura, and Killif, she loves them to death, and she just wants them to be alive as long as she is, and she understands that someday they might not make the choice to be immortalized if she finds the power to make them immortalized, turn them immortal and whatnot. So she has to deal with that belief and whatnot. Positive characteristics: always ready to be alive and well. Loves to see her fellow heroes remaining alive. If I could talk right. Oh boy, I was about to cry for a second. But always ready to be alive and well. Loves to see her fellow heroes remaining alive. Ultimately believes in the laws of heroism, but will not take a life herself. Negative characteristics, none really. Background and character information. The origin, cause Martin has a wife in real life. I wanted his character to have a wife in the story. Birthplace, Glassdale City, then moved over to Falcon City, same way as Galto's. Family, Gail Lithia, Miona Shilzine, mother, 342 years old. Diogen Calton Heverish, father, 342 years old. Bozolo Calton Heverish, brother, 113 years old. History. Being born into the Shildzian family had her already set for life. She would be raised to be a warrior with a lot of tender love and care to ensure she stayed on the right side of the justice system. From bedtime stories to baked goods to summer camps to being allowed the freedom of choice, she was set to keep it beautiful. In between all of that, she had the time of her life protecting Galtos and having him protect her. Even in the real world, even when the supernatural got to her, Shavaetha was making noise as a child in Edgimaer. Learning the ins and outs of using different types of weapons had her nature as a warrior show an incredible amount of promise before she hit adolescence. Then the real reach level, then the real training started. Parents began to put her in real warrior training so her power levels can reach level 5 of super being as soon as possible. All because of the high war times that were going on in Edgimaer at that time. Regardless of her being protected, they made her watch all kinds of atrocities so she knows what kind of world she lives in. Shavaetha was forced to watch a lot of bloodshed, sit on a round table talk, and get her first taste of almost killing someone. Deep within the prison of the Castle of Fate, her parents told her how to successfully interrogate a foe by bringing her to near death. It's where she learned how to not kill someone but keep them down long enough to get them in a prison situation like so. She had to cut all important blood loss areas of the body. Even though there was a healer in the premises, she had some trouble for months before she could cut the first arteries. It took her that long to take that step in her training. As a kid who was hella loved, she didn't want any parts in torturing and killing, all because her parents wanted her to make the decision. As long as she made the decision to know what to do when it has to be done, she would be a protector of the nation of Omarwat. The subliminals leading up to her finally making the decision weren't harsh, but her parents dropped them whenever they could. The last one was when her parents were talking amongst themselves and she overheard them talking about taking the necessary steps if somebody were to invade their home. Just simply going over new strategies of protecting after they moved around the furniture of almost every room in the home that day. When Diogem was talking about the escape plan just in case, that's when they told them that she will make the 8 cuts necessary to make someone bleed out. Congratulations, she became a knight of the round table before she turned 13. As a teen, she spent a lot of time with track and field in the world but still retained her swimming and gymnastics from her youth. Kept up the sportsmanship all the way up to college days and then some. Because of her parents carefully raising her, she wanted to be a pediatrician in the real world because that's where she decided to stay. Granted, she still has her living quarters in the Castle of Fate. She knows that Galtos will stay in the real world until his literal time is up as a human. With the hugs both of them gave her, she wanted to make sure other kids received that one way or another. There were plenty of times where she almost met her death, making her reevaluate life plenty of times. Shavaetha was certain that there is something in the field of taking care of people she can do. The traumas behind almost getting choked out to almost getting beheaded had her thanking her parents' life because you're supposed to love it the most. Run that back. The traumas behind getting choked out to almost getting beheaded had her thanking her parents. Said the things. I need to go back and restructure this sentence. Something about the things that they said every time she left home. From the we love yous to love your own life because you're supposed to love it the most. Instilling her that she is the one who calls the shots. Actually, I'm not reading it right. Bad Terrence, but moving right along. As soon as her teenage mind pieced that together, her parents were like, wow, nah, you staying home. Shavaetha started wilding when she turned 14 and Galtos was right there with her, winning championships at school, partying like the champions they wanted to be, and rocking the world in Edgimaer too. Then all hell broke loose when they turned 16 and ran into the other royalty around Edgimaer more often. From Roughhead to Splashworth to Crater to Proof to Crave, then meeting some rather interesting peers like Throb, Chalzokov, Sharday, Z-Files, and Chromatic really had them lit and looking forward to graduating high school. As soon as they got a taste of adulthood, All Shavaetha wanted to do was graduate with honors so she could stay in superhero mode for the rest of everyone's lives. One of the determining periods of her life was at a music festival in Edgimaer. I'll be trying not to laugh when I picture some of this in my head because it's like a whole universe. So I see everything that is not in animated form yet. So I see all of this life. But moving right along, one of the determining periods of her life was at a music festival in Edgimaer, one of the winter ones. It was called the Tiptoeing Across Ice Music Festival, TIE for short, where a bunch of musical talent across the dimensions and galaxies meet up to celebrate the sound of the new. There was this one guy who was using his incubus mode to get into the music industry. He was quite powerful how he sung slow over very fast-paced beats. He had a set that a lot of people were looking forward to. Majority of the group was around and they were partying hard, enjoying everything about misbehaving because their parents weren't around. Then Lips McGee took to the stage at midnight. The stage was set under a magical dome where snow fell all around it but not in it, and there was this extremely ethereal glow in everything. The dance floor was black lit squares that had various patterns of hypnotism to keep everyone on it, dancing. Shavaetha was at the front row at the stage, goodness gracious, where Lips McGee walked on singing mad harmoniously. He was hitting them chords extremely smoothly with the right amount of vigor that would have you ready to take your clothes off too. What he was doing was using sorcery that night, and he wanted as many girls as he could take. Shavaetha was already 3 shelves into the liquor cabinet when his set was over 5 songs later. Shavaetha started partying young, okay? Don't hold it against her. What was that? Shavaetha was 3 shelves into the liquor cabinet. When his set was over 5 songs later, she was waiting for him by his tour bus. Completely hypnotized, then completely kidnapped. For some odd reason, she walked away from the dance floor and nobody went with a 17-year-old Shavaetha. She went missing for a few days that felt like an eternity to Galtos. Lips McGee was trying his damnedest to get her undressed, but the protection order on the shield scenes prevented her from being moved a lot when she's obviously facing despicable danger that has nothing to do with the battlefield. Keep up. A mannequin she was for nearly 3 days as Lips McGee tried his damnedest to take her clothes off to photograph her. On day 3, when he got frustrated, he simply threw a punch and she left mannequin form and flew right into the wall because of how hard he punched her. Shavaetha didn't know what was going on, but what she felt was danger, then immediately exploded in the building she was in. Back in the real world she was at that time, and the explosion destroyed the 4 surrounding buildings too. Lips McGee was right there taking advantage of a fan, then right there taking advantage of the dust to his lungs. Unable to see anything, the both of them had to wait a while until the dust settled. It would be a while before any law enforcement got there, but she was about to interdimensionally teleport, and as soon as she thought about returning to the Castle of Fate, Lips McGee grabbed her left ankle and startled her. They didn't teleport to the castle, they teleported right back where the music festival was. As he was about to start a spell to try to immobilize her different than the mannequin protection order on her vessel, she lifted him up and compelled him to stop. It was the first time she activated her compelling eyes ability. Then she asked him what was he trying to do to her. Her reaction resulted in him getting both of his arms ripped off. Then she healed him so he wouldn't bleed out in front of everyone that was around, and yes, it was broad daylight and the venue was filled with other kinds of people. Music career over. Jailed he went, personally in the catacombs of the Castle of Fate. Rumor has it he's still there till the current day of the story because they brick-walled him after making him immortal. Shavaetha personally put a beautiful picture of herself up on this display in front of his face that was permanently cemented forward so he can continue to look at her until she decides his prison sentence is over. Alright, Then, the Legend of Hollywood already. It's a legendary traveling tower that's a portal to a realm of high castles where a lot of legendary heroes retire. It's a dimension within Edgimaer that makes everyone immortal when they get in until they leave. This place is where Gatos and Shavaetha got their code names because they were blessed by the old heroes from multiple millennia ago that wore the code names first. And then a home of the Castle of Fate. This is the royalty home from the Amarite. It's where the direct family that holds the throne resides. The royal family allows anyone they deem as family to live there. The House of Pruitt believes that at least 7 houses are their family. For the sake of Shavaetha, the House of Shilzine is family and have several members that act like knights of the round table. The Shilzines have sworn in as an allied house. They have been with the throne on and off with other families throughout the many eons, as well as holding the thrones when anyone steps down and they are voted in. Shavaetha's family has an entire section of the castle they reside in. They are always there to protect the castle from being overthrown by any enemy house. In the real world, she has a 2-story slim home that has a yard on one side and a pool on the other, and a huge backyard with many shelters for Gatos farming. Her and Gatos have possessions have this as their home because the smaller it is, the better she looks as a minimalist. And then you have her healing archangel or angel. Why do I keep saying angle? Damn word arch. But I gotta go up there and correct her weapon name too. But the healing archangel. This is the name of her celestial force spirit that looks like a white glowing crystal that emits the colors of yellow and blue. It has a spirit anchor type head and built for more slashing and wider stabs. The curve of the blade is almost giant like an arch, but it's reeled in to a beautiful serpent-like pattern all the way to the hilt. The crystallized blade is always moving, which keeps it from getting stuck inside of anything with or without armor on. It's 8 feet in length, built specifically for her massive height, because she's 6'4". The hilt is in yellow and blue ethereal leather with 2 matching dragon orbs of yellow and blue. The healing in its name means that it heals a wielder, giving the wielder a huge edge on the battlefield while wielding it. On top of his superpower, her superpower, and her natural vessel, healing already comes easy for her. But to make her more goddess-like, she went with this spear so she can always be the last woman on the battlefield. Pets, she has a hive of bees, several chickens, a golden Labrador, some sheep, a German shepherd, a group of pigs, and a family of goats. Just a small farm's worth of pets. All right, I'm gonna take a breath. And continue with the physical abilities. All right. So, Shavaetha comes from a very athletic background that deals with track, field, aquatics, volleyball, rugby, and gymnastics. Swimming and gymnastics being her favorite of the sports allows her to have agility and flexibility that helps her snake around her enemies on the battlefield. Hapkido and Muay Thai martial arts keeps her face from being hammered, but dabbling in the following styles helps keep her alive: snake, mantis, shika, shikwan, ninjutsu, dragon, insane, and cutting. Fighting is in her blood. Protecting is in her blood. She has more than 10 strategies when it comes to physically handling a man or a woman. From upside down gravitas sit-ups to ton weightlifting, her workout regimens keeps her powerful from head to toe. Also, in the Shilzine blood, there's a whole lot of defense, DNA/RNA, making her a natural tank when it comes to vitality. Her magical abilities: water mastery. All heaven wielders have access to this primary elemental superpower. She's capable of filling vicinities with water quite quickly because the portal aspect of heaven allows her to create an open floodgate kind of situations, forcing people to take flight or fight in a few feet of water. Unrealistically, her movement through water is increased, allowing her to make the same haymakers out of water. And her favorite way of using water is using pumping forces to keep her distance from foes. Flight comes with the superpower of heaven. She can fly in all directions like hummingbirds. Armor and wings of heaven. This ability gives Shavaetha armored wings like the Knights of Amarwat and Galto's doll. She has 3 sets of wings that all move differently. These wings give her a significant boost in energy usage and manipulation, making her attacks 3 times as powerful. All of this is provided by the ethereal might. Interdimension teleportation. Because of her goddess blood, she can teleport between dimensions once every hour. Otherwise, she would have to use one of the natural ways of teleporting between worlds. Exact teleportation. Because of her goddess blood, she can teleport exactly where she desires, once every 30 minutes within that plane of existence. Universal language. Heaven provides wielers with a sense of universal language. All they have to do is enchant an immediate atmosphere with the sensation of ultimate understanding, and they can hear and read all things in a native tongue as well as speak another's native tongue. Projectile mastery. Shavaetha is one of the mightiest heroes of all time that has wielded a spear. It's because she turns her spear into a nude when she's out on the battlefield. It's mostly how she uses her projectile powers, turning her spear into a full-on movable spear of light. The size of it ranges from how much power she puts into it. She can keep it concentrated detrimentally at the original spear size or make it as big as an elephant in height quickly. Other means of using projectiles comes in throws, rays, beams, and orbs, courtesy of water mastery. Either way, she mostly uses the spear to release her projectiles. Heaven Spear. She can turn a region up to 5 miles and teleport an entire range of specific enemies to a plane in heaven. Once done battling in that zone, or she is rendered unconscious, the portal wears off and instantly places everyone back in the zone they came from, usually a few feet above ground. But she uses this mostly to keep Purge from having to clean up another battle, as well as respecting the general way of life of the real world or the dimensions. Compelling factor. When looking into her eyes, her loveliness in general is so gentle, it's like an automatic compel. How many hands had many hands into why she's a pediatrician, but when actually activating it, she can get even strong, willing people to do what she said. With the in between the lines information because of an imbuing effect or taking her exact thoughts and putting them on a vessel she's compelling. Healing. Shavaetha can heal people by hitting them with a burst of energy, a ray of light, or if they are in her radius of healing. She can heal wounds, poison, attrition, mental, and endurance. Transformation. Angel. Form is golden wings, gold glow. Wing type is griffin winged. Wingspan is 30 feet. Griffin wings are very long, so her wingspan will be longer than Galto's. Halo is golden, and her weaknesses. Heaven as a superpower. No. Heaven as a superpower is her main weakness. It's an anti-holy energy that decreases all of the ethereal might Shavaetha possesses. Other weaknesses involve electricity, dark, sorcery, magicry, hexing, and fantasy. Anything possessing dark connotations is very harmful to heaven wielders. And that is Shavaetha. Alright. Whew. I can feel it. They're getting closer. And I have 3 characters left after Shavaetha, but Shavaetha is a trip. So like I was saying, she loves being ridiculous and she loves being comedic because, laughter brings out a lot of great chemicals in her body. So she's always trying to keep it light because she knows that the heroes see a lot of atrocities, especially in certain situations where they will kill a hostage. And sometimes the hostages are children, if I can talk right. And there's other kind of things, and it's very rough on the mental lobe, on the body, on the spirit. It is hella rough. So you you should be thankful that Shavaetha is out there being one of the heroes with a comedic side and joking side, and they're as well as Galtos and Allura and a few other characters. Well, not a few. A lot of these characters be talking shit. So you got about 154 characters and out of a great ratio, a lot of them are out there being funny while they kick ass. It's gonna be a beautiful time. But Shavaetha is almost like a female version of Galtos, but they slightly use the spear different. They slightly use their powers different, even though it's tit for tat. It's the same between them because they grew up together. They had the same superpower. They know each other. They combat with each other, and they build strategies with each other. So they have this whole history of doing the same thing, and the only thing that is different between them is that Shavaetha is a woman and Galtos is a man, and they have different body parts that move different, so their strike game is slightly different than the next one, and they do have different fighting techniques because Shavaetha is Hapkido and Muay Thai, and Galtos is Shotokan and Bull. So they fight different on that perspective in a whole, but they both constantly fight with their shields, and they both constantly have their 6 wings out, and they can have their 6 wings out without their halo too. So they just look extremely magical when they out there, especially them big ass bright red capes. Well, he got a super big bright red cape. She got a small one that just stops at her hips. But the duo of them is very the same. It's just that Galtos is slightly taller than her, so he may slightly have different reach with the spear, and she doesn't have this that reach, so she has to come up with another strategy, and that's the differences between how they fight and whatnot. But hope you enjoyed Shavaetha. I know I did. Deuces hustle.